Well, the next person joining us standing in the House of Keys general election is Julie Edge for Onchan. Julie, I had to start by saying, here we go again. But of course, the last time round, you were standing with the Lib Vans, and I want to make it. Well, you can make it clear. You are going as independent this time?
I am, Paul, yes, yeah. Actually, last time it was very last minute. I decided to look to stand in. Obviously, I'd worked in government for a long time and I'd got quite frustrated. And lastminute.com, Peter Carron came to my home and asked me, would I stand as a Lib Van candidate? We had a long discussion about it. He said he would support me whether I was Lib Van or whether I was independent. And I said, well, okay. I said, I'll give it a go, and that was literally it.
So you wouldn't have stood unless he'd persuaded you, or
no,
would you have stood anyway?
I was gonna stand anyway. But obviously, I'd respected Peter, and he always speaks up for the people. But when I actually got in Lib Van and Peter wasn't around, it wasn't a Lib Van that I think Peter Carron would be proud of, and obviously quite some few bit on from that. When you've got the leader of the party who's a minister advising you can't ask questions in the House on the floor for your constituents, I just thought this is the final straw. I'd asked to see various documentation for the party, and it wasn't forthcoming. So this time, independent completely.
Do you think it'll change things for you? On the doorstep,
well, obviously, there was a Lib Van base in Onchan, but when I did go around in 2016, Paul, so many people said to me, "Oh, Julie, why didn't you use your maiden name? We'd have known who you were." I've lived in Onchan the majority of my life. I've seen Onchan grow into what it is, and I know the schemes that have worked well in Onchan and for the people. So, it's become when I arrived, Ballacurry was only just getting built, Birch Hill was just getting built. So, and I've worked in the local authority as an employee, as a public servant as well. So, I do feel that I have my feet on the ground for Onchan.
How have you found this 5 years? You got the post office gig, but you're in a lot of scrutiny committees and things like that, which is very powerful. Yeah. But you were never given any further responsibilities. Now, am I being too harsh on that, or did you not want them?
I think it depends if you want to roll over and accept what certain chief ministers want you to do. I'm not that person. I want to challenge. I want to make sure the scrutiny's there, and I want to make sure we're doing the right things. And if you're not in the back pockets, perhaps But I'm quite happy with what I've done. I've had responsibility solely for the post office as the chair, with obviously a vice chair, but they've changed a couple of times during that period. And it's a significant business for the island.
Is that a tough ticket? Because the model has changed so much, hasn't it? You've come in for a fair bit of flack, should we say?
Yeah.
What's the way you've handled it? You stood up for yourself, but you have had a lot of criticism.
I have, and I was given the job to go and sort the post office out. I was looking at an article back from, actually it was a paper article from when I got married, and my pitch was below an article from Brigadier Butler and the challenges and the change the post office needed at that time. So it's been an ongoing challenge, and I genuinely believe, having been given the opportunity to be there for 5 years rather than 2.5 where they change, it's helped stabilise the post office and make it sustainable.
Let's talk about going to the doorstep. You're knocking the door, and what are you saying? What's your thing that makes you stand out, sort of thing?
Okay, so I think, and I hope that the people of Onchan will see how hard I've worked, how diligent I am with legislation, and how I'm not afraid to stand up and ask the difficult questions. There's a lot of people don't want to ask the controversial ones or the difficult questions. I'm prepared to do that. Some members in Tynwald are saying, women are brave for standing up. No, we're not brave. We're there to do a job for the people, and I'm prepared to do that, make the tough decisions that need to be made, which quite clearly from the post office there were tough decisions, and I carried on, and I don't quit, and I think that's the important one. Obviously we're in different times. I've been through the COVID situation, probably the only parliamentarians during this term that will have gone through that. I was the first to change secondary legislation during COVID, and it actually gave me the opportunity to actually delve deep down into that legislation to make sure it was the right legislation, to make sure we were supporting people.
So you've got your 5 years behind you, so if you get back in, obviously you're going to have an eye and a prize to take a ministerialship. It could be another 50% new members, couldn't it? Who knows yet? But if you got in, what would you be looking to take control of?
Certainly, I'll do any job that I feel I can make a difference.
I don't want that answer. I want to know what you want to do, because everyone says that.
Okay, what I've actually preferred doing is being a backbencher and doing the scrutiny.
You like that?
I feel that I've been able to make more of a difference. I've made changes. I've stopped education bill going forward.
You don't get inside a tent then?
I certainly won't go in a tent that has a collective responsibility where I certainly want to work with people, and there is a group of people that are working. I want to be in a progressive government that is doing the right things for the island, for the future of the island. And certainly, obviously, we've got big challenges ahead with the economy, with our health services, with our education, and obviously socially, we've got big issues. And as Chair of Social Affairs Policy Review, we've done significant work in there with regards to mental health, suicide, etc. So
obviously, being a backbencher is one thing, but being inside that tent as such, you do have more chance to change things. So, what department, if you were offered it? First of all, would you take it? I want to make quite clear if you would, and which one would you like?
Certainly, I think with my background education, I did try to get on education the last time round, and I was clearly told by the Chief Minister, no, you can't do education because you're conflicted. But then next he puts Claire Barber in health, and obviously Claire Christian's come along, who's got education background, and she's on education. So I don't think the reasons at this very outset were the right ones. Obviously it was a reason, whether it's the minister that has to decide as well. So I will work with whoever is a minister, but I will hope my views would be. It depends which one you're offered.
Education.
I would take education.
But you don't be fobbed off on something you don't know nothing about.
No, it's not that I don't know anything about it. Obviously, I've worked in government in very many areas. I've worked in local government. I've worked in the MEA. So,
but you'd be very definite what you would take and what you wouldn't.
Yes, yeah, I would, and I think it's only right that I think the skills and experience that you've got should be where. Then that's the best fit for government, I feel, and we've seen quite a few disasters because they haven't put the right people in the right places.
How frustrating has it been then, this 5 years then for you?
Lots of frustrations, Paul, along the way. Obviously, I hit the ground running because I'd been in the public sector as a civil servant. I was under the radar, but in a very senior position in education on the leadership team at Ballacomene. So I was under the radar, but I've seen and I've watched how government has evolved into what we had, and I wanted to go in and make those differences and changes and stop the constant turnaround that we're seeing and no actual outcomes. So, say post office, I went in and I seen what needed to be done straight away. There was big issues with the pension. I've made those changes. The board. It's a board, so I represent the board. But straight away, within my first month, I could see there was issues. Well, why hadn't the previous chairman picked up on that? So I'll hit the ground running. I've got a lot of knowledge with all the policies, etc. And what I don't like and what I've got frustrated about is policies that come forward because somebody new's got into a role, but they've not looked back to see what the policy was previously. So therefore, we're getting this constant churn of policy making that's not necessarily the best for the people.
Have you thought about who you'd like as a Chief Minister, who you would vote for if you got back in?
Obviously, yes, I have.
You want
to get in first. I think that's the key, and it depends who else gets in as to who. Well, there's only a couple that potentially. There's a couple that have said that they're interested. Personally, I think you do need to have experience of being in government for more than 5 years, and I do feel that you need to have been in a ministerial role, perhaps a statutory board model. You need to understand that's so different from government departments. So I'll see only one that's been mentioned at the present time, but we don't know who else is going to be in there.
As you say, it can't be anyone new. Well, it could, but it sounds like very unlikely.
I think the best for the island is that we need somebody with that political experience, with the drive and ambition to make the island a better place.
One thing they will talk about still is our lockdown situation. How are you finding that on the doorstep? It must be very conflicting as always. Open, shut.
Yeah, obviously I haven't gone out on the doorsteps yet. We've got the local authority elections.
But you know the mood.
The mood of the people certainly was significantly different for lockdown 3. So many people felt we didn't need to be in at that.
Keep to this date, this timetable.
And certainly the government's made that clear today. But I am conscious that we need to keep an eye on the variants that could be coming over our border. But we need to have a strategy in place to deal with that.
We're wrapping up, but it hasn't been the easiest ride for you, and being with your colleague in Onchan. I mean, I think that's we've covered that many times. do you hope for a better relationship, whoever is with you next time round, and if it's the same person?
Certainly, we're different people. I'm not old style politics. I'm there for progression and change, and let's move forward in the right way. We work together on the big issues. We work together on the Eastern Area
But
plan.
it could be closer, but it wasn't. It hasn't gone that way.
No, but I wouldn't say we talk about the things that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
But certainly. It's not shared if there's a constituency issue. But the constituents that know who they wish to go to, it's their choice. And many come to me maybe 6 months after they've asked for an issue to be resolved, and I do my best, and and Rob does his best, and we do work together. And I think for Onchan we need to continue to do that if we're both elected. Certainly Onchan is in a bit of difficult times at the present time. I go to most of their meetings. That's one thing. I'm the only person that does go. Not many of the public do, and we need to be working closely with them with all the issues for Onchan to make it. I want Onchan back on the map as the place that I grew up in, and it's a fantastic place to live. It isn't what gets portrayed in the press.